Settle down, class. Miss Riki's voice echoed through the room as she clapped her long, clawed hands together, trying to gain her students' attention. Come now, it's time to learn about Earth. The students groaned in unison, clearly unenthused by the prospect of another planetary lesson. Miss Riki, her bright yellow lips pursed in a mixture of frustration and determination, surveyed the room. Teaching was a challenge for Miss Riki. As a member of the Zamra race, who had advanced educational capabilities, she was accustomed to her people learning rapidly through text. With 2 sets of slit pupils and highly complex brains, Zamra could read multiple books simultaneously, making teaching them quite different from teaching other species. The Zamra Council, currently wary of close interaction with humans, had adopted a cautious approach after first contact. The humans' fascination with the dragon-like Zamra, beings of mythological beauty in human eyes, had been overwhelming. Images of Zamra spread across human societies, creating a mix of flattery and discomfort among Zamra leaders. They believed humans' fascination stemmed from ancient myths of dragons, which had led the Zamra scholars to theorize that Earth might once have had its own dragon-like creatures. In the classroom, Miss Riki faced a mix of races. She struggled to instill the same respect and curiosity about other species in her students, who showed little interest in her lessons. It didn't help that she preferred teaching adults and now found herself in front of a group of diverse, and often indifferent, younger beings. Isn't Earth's history just made up? A young blue Ipel asked, balancing a digital stylus on her nose with a casual air. I heard they all live in giant domes and are born in vats, another student, a bright pink opticon, interjected, rolling his eyes at the misconceptions. Miss Riki frowned, her wide nose wrinkling in irritation. This lesson isn't about how humans are made, she corrected. We're discussing their world and their cultures. We'll cover human biology later, alongside other cultures in the Syndral Confederation. Another collective groan arose from the students, and Miss Riki placed her hands on her round hips, exasperated. This information is vital for your future careers. How else will you know what to expect when visiting other planets? She referenced a notable incident involving the Opticon's first visit to Earth, which ended embarrassingly when their pilots crashed into the planet's surface. The memory made the Opticons in the class grimace. One of the students, a male Ural with fur as light as fur, dismissed the lesson's relevance. Even if they exercise on that orbital platform, humans' hearts are still too weak from low gravity. They might need pressure suits just to walk among the flowers, he mocked, earning laughs from others. The comment sparked outrage among the Opticons, who stood up in protest despite the exertion making them sweat. We don't need suits to be on Earth, a pink Opticon male shouted, slamming his clawed hand on the table. We've been working hard, our base is full of gravity chambers to strengthen us for longer stays. The blue Ural female, unfazed, retorted, all you did during the war was hide and mine asteroids. The argument intensified until Miss Riki slammed her hands on her desk, the loud bang silencing the room. Her jewelry rattled against her shoulders as she glared at the students, her head fronds vibrating with anger. That is enough. Sit down now, she ordered. The students, wary of a Zamra's potential to attack the mind when provoked, complied quickly. Miss Riki took a deep breath, smoothing down her robes and adjusting her mantle. The Karlekpa and Jinn, who had been silently observing the confrontation, exchanged awkward glances. The Jinn, a four-armed species with triangular heads, were new to the Syndral Confederation. They had nearly been wiped out during the war against the Darier and were now seeking to repay the humans who had helped preserve their culture, now reduced from billions to mere millions. One of the Jinn, braver than the rest, raised a hand, his eyes barely visible under the mask they all wore to hide their faces from anyone but their spouses. So, Earth? He began, trying to steer the conversation back on track. Yes, Earth, Miss Riki said, turning and tapping the data screen to bring it back to life. Earth is classified by many as a death world. Is that because of how boring it is? The blue-skinned Ural female spoke up again, prompting the males around her to roll their eyes. This time, Miss Riki turned sharply, her head fronds extending, and she fixed the Ural with a steely glare. Miss Mirak clasped her hands to her head, her body filling with dread. Wait, Mirak began to wail, digging her fingers into her head's fur as Miss Riki focused her will on the insolent Ural. Be quiet, Miss Mirak, Miss Riki said firmly over the cries of the Ural, her draconic fronds quivering. Mirak writhed on the ground, crying out, okay, I'm sorry. Stop it. Miss Riki's fronds slowly stopped quivering and laid neatly against her head and neck as she looked around the room. Anyone else wishing to disrupt my class? She asked. Many heads shook in denial, the Jinn among them wondering just what they had gotten themselves into. Miss Riki cleared her throat, smoothing down her robes as she gestured toward the screen. As I stated, many classify Earth as a death world due to its abnormally high gravity, which has influenced its inhabitants and their culture. Humans, as we know, are an extremely militant race, having honed their skills for war by battling among themselves for thousands of years, possibly even longer. The high gravity has resulted in their developing thick muscles, contributing to their great strength. Those in the Confederation who train with humans have noted that they tire more quickly and cannot last as long in combat trials compared to humans. Humans currently training on other worlds under the military exchange program have excelled, easily dominating these trials. Miss Riki tapped her fingers together, causing the data screen to display images of humans effortlessly throwing Ural like sacks of grain and bending Zamra nearly in half during martial combat trials. While they may lack the focused intelligence of other species, this should not be mistaken for stupidity. Humans are highly dangerous, predatory beings capable of rapid thought and making quick calculations, sometimes even more so than the Opticin. They may currently lag in raw intelligence, but there's speculation that this gap might not last. A juniper-colored Ural raised his hand, and Miss Riki nodded at him. Then why haven't humans taken over the Confederation if they're so powerful? Why not do what the Diormir tried? That's a fair question, Miss Riki replied with a smile, tapping her middle finger to her thumb to change the slide. The screen now showed images of humans laughing and smiling with other races. Humans are an extremely sociable species and seem to like us, which prevents them from being outwardly aggressive. Some humans have coined the phrase, take and give, when describing interactions with them. They tend to be aggressive only when they perceive aggression first. A female Jinn raised her topmost arm and waved her small hand. Is that why the Zamra have a non-social engagement clause with humans? Miss Riki blushed, clearly not expecting the Jinn to be aware of that. She cleared her throat and laced her fingers together. Well, when we first made contact, the humans were very taken with us. Our council of leadership feared. I heard they were seducing too many Zamra women, a Carrick interjected, raising his scaly brows with a hint of humor. Half the landing party went off mission and hasn't even left Earth yet, causing Zamra leadership to panic about social issues. Yes, Miss Riki said briefly, shaking her head as her tendrils flared slightly in embarrassment. Our council of leadership feared it would lead to a social crisis. How curious, the female Jinn murmured, tilting her masked face. A death world, in more ways than one, then, due to the influence of humans. Miss Riki agreed, nodding and flipping through more slides slowly to let the students absorb the information. Some scholars even believe that humans are like an infection, integrating themselves into all levels of society among the stars. However, despite this outlook, everyone who meets humans seems to find them good company, regardless of the other race's appearances. Just last week, a gelatinous Auror made a human friend, lifting their entire race out of an emotional slump. Apoin raised his hand. Aren't the Auror just a race of intelligent jelly balls that live in suits? I heard they use tentacles to operate nodes in their suits to move. Yes, they are highly advanced invertebrates recently discovered on their planet. Initially, no one wanted to work with what appeared to be balls of slime with tentacles, so they were ostracized by other races. However, humanity finds them fascinating, Miss Riki mused before turning back to the data screen. Besides its gravity, Earth has multiple biomes due to humans not controlling their planet's weather or temperature, as you all know. The Confederation at large practices. Tempering the climate to make Earth as comfortable as possible for all visitors is a challenging task, Miss Riki explained, waving her hand at the screen. The display zoomed in to show a flat image of Earth and its various temperature zones. Some areas can get as cold as 35 degrees Celsius below freezing, or 135 degrees Fahrenheit below zero in human terms. On the other hand, temperatures can rise to as high as 34 degrees Celsius above freezing, or 134 degrees Fahrenheit. Do people actually live in those extreme areas? A male Ipel asked, staring at the screen in confusion. Why would they allow such temperatures? Miss Riki shrugged, responding matter-of-factly, I couldn't tell you why they allow it. However, some humans do live in such extreme conditions or even vacation there for the challenge of survival. This has been a long-standing phenomenon. Humans have battled the elements of their planet for as long as they have fought amongst themselves. But why? Ein asked, not bothering to raise his hand. Miss Riki pursed her lips thoughtfully, then shrugged again. Perhaps it's because they've mastered all other predators on their planet and now see the planet itself as their last remaining challenge. This is evident in their sports, many of which are outlawed for other members of the Confederation due to their danger. What kind of sports? A female Jean asked eagerly, nearly standing up in her seat. Is there wrestling? Miss Riki giggled politely and switched the slides to show human sports. Oh, yes. There are many sports that are allowed by the Confederation. However, extreme human sports are often outlawed due to their high risk of fatality. Humans engage in activities like climbing without safety equipment, diving into dangerous caves, riding massive waves on surfboards, and even participating in combat sports where they can seriously injure each other. The students watched in stunned silence as images of various extreme sports flashed on the screen, including a slide showing two bloody humans in a netted ring. They even have a sport where participants fight until one is knocked unconscious, Miss Riki explained, grimacing at the sight of a severely injured competitor. Why do they do this? A female Carlin asked, puzzled. Why keep these dangerous animals around? Miss Riki sighed and thought for a moment before replying. Humans believe that their world is healthier with these predators in place. They see them as part of the natural order and even gain a sense of strength from living alongside such dangers. This mindset extends to their reluctance to eradicate large predators, which they believe adds a vital element to their environment. The class sat quietly, absorbing this information. Miss Riki nodded, sensing their confusion and curiosity. Yes, it might seem perplexing, but humans have a deep connection with their environment. They strive to maintain a balance, even if it means accepting risks to their own safety. This is why, even after incidents where humans are harmed by animals, they rarely seek to eradicate the species entirely. Instead, they often only target the specific animal involved. As Miss Riki continued, she highlighted how this philosophy influenced their broader approach to conservation and interaction with their environment. This attitude is part of what makes Earth so unique and challenging for visitors from other worlds. The planet's natural dangers are just as much a part of the experience as its beauty and diversity. Miss Riki stood sternly, pointing to the crime scene photos that displayed dismembered victims. They ignored the rules and the warnings, didn't take a human guide, and thought themselves too advanced to fall prey to what they considered little human animals, she stated. This is only the latest incident. The Confederation is still undecided on whether to ban other races from venturing outside military bases or major cities. A female Ipel, horrified, stared at the images, her pawed hands moving toward her cheeks. They were eaten? Yes, eaten, Miss Riki confirmed in a low tone. She explained that this tragedy occurred only days after a PO was nearly killed by a creature known as a honey badger in Africa. The PO had wandered off the path, mistaking the animal for a cat. A Jean, another species, raised her hand and asked, "Did he survive?" "Just barely," Miss Riki replied. The creature severed several critical arteries in his legs, and humans had to apply pressure wraps to prevent him from bleeding out. Miss Riki emphasized the danger humans routinely face, explaining that non-humans must exercise extreme caution when on Earth. She mentioned a rumored sixth sense among humans, an innate ability to sense danger without seeing it. This, she suggested, might have developed from encounters with other dangerous creatures. Turning to a slide showing an eerie creature, Miss Riki introduced the class to skinwalkers, entities from human folklore believed to be biological monstrosities. These beings, once thought mythical, have been confirmed by leading Ipel and PO biologists. Traces of them have been found in the Appalachian Mountains. They were likely the first apex predators humans had to contend with, she noted. She then mentioned that humans, with the help of the Ural, have been reviving extinct species like the Irish elk and the Tasmanian tiger. When an optician expressed concern about the possible revival of dinosaurs, Miss Riki reassured the class that the Confederation had banned such actions. The discussion shifted to the inherent danger of Earth and its creatures. Miss Riki explained that while humans maintain a culture that respects other predators, they also possess the capability to eliminate these threats if necessary. This balance of power contributes to Earth's classification as a death world, not only due to its dangerous fauna but also because of the humans themselves, who are considered the planet's apex predators. The session concluded, and the students were dismissed. Miss Riki walked through the space station, reflecting on the day's lesson. Upon arriving at her living quarters, she was greeted by a human who had prepared dinner. The conversation turned to the day's topic, with Miss Riki humorously remarking, "Oh, you know, just how dangerous humans are."